right? And if I go back, I want to understand what your current comfort with n8n is, because some of you in the questions are asking, what is n8n? So I'm very interested to know, right? Wow, okay, this is a lot of responses very quickly. So, okay. Okay, so it's pretty evident what the split is, right? 90% are completely new to n8n, and 10% have tried before and are comfortable. So yes, that's why I think you have to accordingly adjust this, but it should be okay. So what it means for me right now is, in terms of how we go about this session. Okay. So by the way, the 10% people who are comfortable with n8n, if you are in the basic level, or let's say basic to intermediate level of n8n, then you can still attend this. But just for expectations to be clear, if you are already well versed with n8n, you are proficient in n8n, then maybe the session might not help you too much. Okay? So if you're already very comfortable building things and stuff, then you can stay around. But yeah, of course, right? You're welcome to stay, but probably you won't find it too much valuable. Okay. But if you are beginner, or if you are even like somewhere intermediate level getting there, or complete newbie, then this is good for you, right? So all right, and poll, this is share the results. Yeah, the results are so most of 90% are completely new to n8n, right? And yeah, let me stop this, and then let's take it accordingly, right? Let's answer the big questions first. But before we go there, right? Let's just first of all set the rules of engagement. We will have a very practical and pragmatic approach in this. I don't want to be hyping you up, make an agent and make millions from tomorrow onwards. I don't want to do those things. I want to give you a more practical understanding of these things, where they work, where they fail, right? So it's a good overview kind of a thing, but at the same time, use these things with caution kind of thing, right? Where they fail, what their strengths are. You will have questions, so please ask the questions right now in chat if you want to, right? And I can take them later. All the questions will be at there, unless there is some very situational question, right, which I feel is necessary for everyone to understand right now. Maybe I can do that. All right. But otherwise, Q&A will be at the end. There is Virat Kohli in the group who says, let's have a WhatsApp group. The Board Infinity team will address that. There is a WhatsApp group anyway. So anyhow, right, recordings, everything will be done. It is recorded, right? Yeah, very important. Please do the hands-on. Please don't just watch. So some of you might be on your mobile devices using your phone, right? If possible, I don't know, n8n might be a bit difficult on the phone, the online version, but if you have a laptop with you or a desktop, a different machine, then please also use that, right? For doing things actually, that will be most convenient. Please do hands-on, aim to create something tangible, and please put your cameras on so that for me, it's also like I'm not talking to myself like an idiot. So I can also see some faces, see some responses, right? That will be really good, right? Right. Okay, we can't download it. Okay, all right. So then I'll just go ahead. And about me now, because people are asking about me. Okay. So about me, I have 15 years of experience, as Dipali mentioned earlier as well, in data and AI. I've worked in large companies like Flipkart and Zalando here for the past several years, and consulting before, e-commerce, pharma, advertising as well. So, and I've worn most data science hats. I think all the different kinds of positions you have in data science, from analyst to data scientist to this to that to engineer, ML engineer, everything, right? So I've done all of those roles. So that also puts me in a good position to see it from different angles, gives a more complete perspective. Right. And I do love education, really. Education is a passion. I am a subject matter expert with top edtech platforms like, of course, Board Infinity as well. I'm a visiting faculty for different kinds of programs. corporate training. I do also have my own Coursera and n8n courses and Coursera course, of course. Maybe some of you are already aware, you follow on LinkedIn, but there is a course as well. Anyway, so there are different courses. And I also am involved with startups and technically understanding or helping them or design the solutions and so on, right? So like startup mentor as well and author. So I also have been fortunate enough to write 3 books on data science and machine learning and AI and stuff. And fourth one is coming soon for a while now. I hope I get finish it soon. And I am right now based in Berlin in Germany. That's why it's 12:15 where I am. So yeah, so it's a good afternoon for me, right? That's about me. I mean, I really think of myself as someone who's solving problems using data, right? AI, whatever it takes. That's all. And that's with that experience, right? So that you can trust me a little bit when I say these things. Okay, some credibility perhaps, right? So that's about me. And I think this is done already. So yeah, let's get started, right? And I think this is where people have questions and concerns and whatnot. Let's just get started. Okay. Let me talk about n8n first. And what is n8n? Because some of you are like complete beginners. So let's also address that. What is n8n? n8n is a powerful workflow automation software with little to no code. So you can build things without writing a single line of code. People have done that. It is becoming more and more powerful. So you can just, in fact, I should tell you some things later how easy it is becoming, right? So you don't need to write code. You can just drag and drop things and connect things. It's a very visual builder, as you will see. It's very flexible. So you don't have to write a single line of code. In some cases, to maybe make it simpler or maybe reduce the complexity of it, you maybe introduce a code node in the middle somewhere, which single block will do the task of 5 6 pins or whatever, right? Or some very specific customizations you might add code, but in general you don't quite need the code node right in the beginning, right? It's perhaps a bit later. Okay, so that's about it. I will show you what it is as well, right? Of course, we'll work on it. Then this company was founded in 2019 in Berlin, so where I am right now. So I think there's a lot more. It's a lot more popular here, perhaps, or maybe it's getting popular in India as well. And one of the reasons for popularity is that it enables people, even if they are non-technical, to build applications quickly. It's very interesting. You'll see a lot of these sessions or workshops or webinars or even videos where people are just sitting and like we are right now, connecting things, and after an hour you have things which you can show, right? You can build apps out of it in a way, right? So this is really very powerful stuff, and it has really enabled people. Earlier, people had great ideas, they had logical thinking and everything, but they did not really have the coding skills. Now, n8n has enabled those people to also make things, and that is the real power of n8n. Right? People with ideas can build things without depending on someone to write code for them, and this is the real game changer. Right? So that's about it, right. There's questions about, okay, there's a question about, is this better than make.com? Yeah, Make is another tool, and there's actually multiple tools, right? So that is popular ones. There's n8n, there is Make, there is Zapier, which is also very popular, which are more general purpose. Then there's, again, for specific automations, there's UiPath and Blue Prism, and there's many of them. But n8n, Make, and Zapier are the more popular ones these days. Within these, I would say Zapier is also pretty good, but it is quite expensive. So most of you, I mean, not saying most of you may be pretty rich, but for most people, it's the price is quite high on a day-to-day basis running it. Okay, so n8n is much more. Say you have much more access, you have much more control. You can use a free version for a long time. So that's the reason why n8n is getting quite popular, right? Let me I'll talk about this as well. Okay. So what are the key features of n8n? n8n has powerful AI features. That is number one, very useful thing. And these features are added quite quickly. So let's say when AI agents came, other softwares like Zapier and whatever, it took quite some time for them to start these AI agent nodes. Okay, but n8n got it very quickly. Model Context Protocol, or MCP, right? That also, it came pretty late in the other tools, but n8n was among the first to get this. So if you want to stay at the, say, cutting edge of things, right, or things, the moment they come, they are very quickly available on n8n. So that is also a very good reason why you want to use n8n if you want to stay, ahead of everyone else, perhaps. It is very easy to use, as we'll see. It has these code nodes as well. So if you want some customization, if you want, more flexibility and power, you can add code using Python or JavaScript. There's many developers who prefer these JavaScript and stuff, right, for interaction and whatnot. So you can add these as well. So you can add Python and JavaScript and stuff and make it even more flexible and even more powerful, right? It also has an option of local hosting. So some of you have installed this, right? You can see you're using your machine. You don't even have to leave your machine. Everything can be on your machine without even needing the internet to work in some cases, right? So you can, if someone is very concerned about that hosting, no data should leave my machine, that is also possible, right? So there's a lot of options really. Also options for privacy, meaning that, okay, we have options which data should not leave this. There's many things really. You can take this, make a container, deploy on your company's local cloud as well, so that it is all inside your company's cloud, right? So there's a lot of options really. So, and a very active community. This is one of the nice things really. And that is one of the reasons why you get these features early on as well. Something new comes up, researchers and developers together very actively, they just make something new and it is available inside of n8n. So all in all, right, n8n is a pretty solid option. So if you are a complete beginner and you're thinking, oh, I've heard about this make.com, I heard about this n8n thing, I heard about Zapier and like 5 other things, where do I start? I would strongly suggest just go with n8n, right? It's an excellent starting point. And after some point, when you feel, okay, you know what, in my application, I'm having a hard time with this or whatever, then maybe you might want to review, right? But at this point, I would say start with n8n. It's a solid first choice. I think it's a pretty good choice as well. Okay, so yeah, that's about n8n. In fact, let me just show you n8n. So if I click on this, you can also do this, right? Go to n8n.io, right? And you'll see this page. Okay, so right. So you have this page of n8n, and it's a nice website because they also give you some examples, right? It is flexible AI workflow automation, right? And it can do many kinds of things. I mean, the views here might not make a lot of sense, but maybe it does make some sense. It has a visual thing, but IT operations can do something, sales can do something, uh, security operations can do something, right? Developers can do something. There's a lot of things a lot of people can do. Okay, and in fact, if you see now, if you see, there's a lot of people who are automating things for themselves, automating image creation, automating social media posting. There's a lot of stuff people are automating using n8n, right? And also making services out of it and making money as well, right? There's a lot of things. It has a lot of integrations. So you could use your own, personal things like Gmail and calendar and whatnot, project management things like Asana, Airtables. There's so many things. There's a lot of things you can use. You can use databases where it really, there's no limit. It's just limited by our imagination or knowledge, perhaps at this point. Okay, and a lot of stuff. I mean, we'll see this. We'll see this very soon. Earlier, if you had to build a chatbot, a simple chatbot, for example, it wasn't so easy. But now you'll see that with a few clicks, we can create a chatbot in like 5 minutes. Okay, that's really something powerful. Okay, so we'll do those things as well, right? So n8n, really useful stuff. The link is there. There's case studies. You can also check it out over here, but it's a nice tool. Right? There's use cases, there's documentation. The documentation is also really good, by the way. You can check for anything, but if you maybe just take something, okay, let's take one particular page, okay, workflows. If you want to understand anything better, okay, or want to talk to the documentation, you can even go there and say, okay, chat with the documentation. So they have built an AI agent over a chatbot over the documentation. So if you have any questions, you can even ask their chatbot, right? So how do I upload images in the chat, for example? So you can do these things, you can submit this. So any question you have, right, it will go through n8n's documentation and it will give you those details, right? It says, okay, we have two main chart scenarios, you can use this trigger and so on. So there's a lot of good resources for learning n8n. So if, don't worry, you have a lot of resources, community and everything, okay? It's really neat. n8n is really neat and it's a very good tool to get started, okay? That's about n8n briefly. We will see this in action. We'll see there's a lot of things, there's integrations, the different kinds of things can be combined with n8n. You can also see tutorials, there is forums, there's a lot of stuff. So yeah, don't worry about it, okay? So that's about n8n, and we will see this in action. I think the best way to learn is by doing. So we will do things, right? So let's go back here to this, right? So this is about n8n and accessing n8n. There's two options, and this is where people perhaps in the chat were talking about. One option is local installation, which is you have to install Node.js, then you have to install n8n using npm, and here is where installing Node.js some issues, you encounter some issues. No problem at all. The other option, especially if you are a beginner, you can simply use n8n Cloud. So go to n8n.io, and this is what I would recommend all of you right now. If you don't have it already installed, right, just go to n8n.io. Then there you'll see there is a sign in, and that will take you to the actual link. It will be app.oh, I'm already signed in, so let me do it from a non-signed in window, but let's see, n8n.io. Let me just share this. So yes, right. So if I'm not signed in, I can say, okay, sign in here, and you'll see if you don't have an account, you can start a free trial. You'll have a 14-day free trial, with all the powerful things that inside of n8n. So you can start a free trial, and you can give your name or whatever, give anything, right? Company email, anything you want. Like give name, create a email, password, and you have to give a name over here, account name, call it something, right? And just get started. Okay, it'll be a 14-day trial, and you can get started right now. Okay? So if there are folks who already have it, then don't worry. If there are folks who still haven't done the installation or couldn't do the installation or don't have an account, I'll wait for maybe 5 minutes so you all can just get access to n8n, and then you're able to log in. Yeah. So please go ahead. I'll give you 5 minutes, and meanwhile I can take some questions from folks in the chat. Right. Let me go to the Q&A. n8n is wipe coding, kind of. Nah, Dinesh, not. It's a little different. Wipe coding is when it's a specific, you have a specific coding task in mind and you don't want to write the code yourself, or you want some inspiration or whatever, right? You allow the system to write the code for you. So that's really how it is. Maybe you don't even have that great design in your head, but in n8n, it's a place where you can make a system. And when you're making a system, in general, it is, of course, the best idea is to first think of the whole system, think of the design, what you want in, what you don't want in, careful design consideration, where you make a flow chart or something, and then you should maybe go ahead and make a proper system. Okay, if you're making something very simple, you don't need those things. You just go drag and drop. But it's different in nature. It's not like right how wipe coding essentially is. Nishan Kumar says, even if you have installed on laptop, do we need to pay after 14 days? No, Nishan. You don't need to pay after 14 days. I suggested this only right now, so you can work in the webinar, right? And later, then of course, if you have it installed, I would suggest install this. Work with this right now, create an account, take the trial. After the webinar is over, install in your local machine, right? And then the trial is over, you can stop. You can just start working with your local. Yeah? So this is also done. Is there a difference between cloud version and the Docker node? Divya, a little bit. in terms of some nodes, the cloud version has a few more things, number one. And the cloud version, it is paid, of course. So you have a few more things, right? And things are a bit easier to deploy in the cloud version. Or the downloaded version, you have to make some more effort for things which are like always on kind of a thing, right? It's a bit different. But anyway, we'll come to this as well later. So I'll give you folks a couple more minutes, and I'll just fetch some water for myself and get back in a couple of minutes.
So participants, like the n8n link is given in your chat box. So please create your free account so that you can also create a workflow along with us. If you're finding any issue, you can let us know in the chat box.
All right. So coming back to the questions, I hope most of you are. Can someone confirm you folks are able to? Are you done with creating your account on n8n? Let me know in chat if you're able to, right, do this, so I know when to proceed, right? Let's see. Yeah, there were a few questions. Is n8n for creating websites or just automation? Stephen, I think you can do a lot now. I think you can build full systems with n8n now. You can build a simple web app with n8n. You can build, actually, you can do quite a lot with n8n now. It's not about n8n itself, uh, many of these tools will allow you to build a lot of things. And if you understand things like webhooks and APIs later, I mean, you can do a lot with n8n or full systems, perhaps, personal websites, whatever, you can do a lot. But it's not really designed for websites and stuff. I don't think websites is the right use of it. Maybe a web app, maybe an application that might be okay, but not quite websites. It is a lot more than having a whole process or automating things or making some sort of a temporary server. So you send it an image, it gives you back, let's say, information from the image, right? Extracting. So you can do a lot of those things. Um, we'll see some of them as well. Okay. Nishan asked, I have installed a laptop. There'll be no problem if I use it for this workshop too, right? Yeah, no issues, Nishan. You should be able to use in exactly the same way, right? But the only difference, we are not doing anything which requires a lot of complex configuration today, so it should be good. Okay. All right, cool. So then, let me see. There's a few general questions, but then I think we can take those towards the end, right? Can I use n8n workflow integrate to front end and make a web app? Yes, Virat Kohli. Uh, you can do wonders on the field, off the field, anywhere you want. Okay. All right. Then I suppose, yes, there's a poll. Please let us know. Could you, thanks Dipali um, for the poll on this. Account created. Okay, looks like almost all of you have responded. Most of you could create a perfect. All right. Then I suppose we should get started. Hey, by the way, because most of you, right, most of you are beginners, right? Complete beginners. So what I'll do is I'll adjust this a little bit. So we'll cover as much as we can, but I believe there is a need for a future session where we can go a bit more advanced, but we'll do that anyway. So don't worry, I won't rush it so much that you don't follow. We'll all go along because you're all beginners in this room, so we'll take it slow. If needed, we can do a follow-up session, right, which is a bit more involved. But you will be surprised, I think, how much you can do even without any prior knowledge, right? So let's continue, right? So let me go back and I'll continue sharing the n8n view, right? And let's just see, okay, here. Now going back, close this. Now, when you log in, you may see a dashboard, or you might go somewhere. You might go to a view like this, okay, like this. Of course, you don't have prior executions, so you won't quite see a lot of these things. It will be blank largely, but I do have some of these things, right? Some which are active and so on. So I will, yeah, it might not look the same for you. So there's a few things we have to get used to, but for now we don't bother so much, okay? Let's see. Right, now, what we do inside n8n, we will create a quick workflow as well. I just want to show you the interface a little bit before, if it's the first time, especially for a lot of you. So in the interface, right, this is where you will see your workflows. Right now, you don't have anything, but once you start making, they will appear over here. And what is a workflow? A workflow is one particular small process, okay? Everything. So in it, and everything will be inside a workflow. There's nothing outside of workflows which does anything. Anything which you need to do will be inside of workflows, right? And credential execution, I'll show all of these eventually. So the place where you work, okay, the main canvas is the workflow. So if you see this on the right, there is a create workflow button. Click on the create workflow button. And this, people, this is the canvas. I've zoomed in. For some reason, my camera is zoomed in, but I think it should be fine. All right. So this is the view you should all see as well, a blank canvas, right? I'm assuming you're all with me. Now, right. Now, let's do this. This is where you have to add things. But what things, right? What are the things? What do we add? How do you make it work, right? So now that you have a workflow started, you have an intent. Let's talk about what these things are, right? And what do you need to add? So this is done. We have accessed n8n now. Let's now go understand the elements of n8n. Okay. So what are the elements of n8n? What are the key things you need to know before going further? In n8n, you have actions. So because you're talking of a workflow, which is a series of steps, which are things to be done, in n8n, you need to have actions. What are these actions? And there could be a lot of actions, right? They could be interactions with applications. Like you could say, if you have Salesforce, you can say get contact or create a lead. If you have a project management software, you can say create a project. You could say things like, okay, create a new task and assign it to this person, or get a list of existing tasks. If you're talking about emails, you could say fetch this email, or send an email, or delete an email, right? So all of these are different kind of actions, and there's a lot of different kinds of actions you could do. Google Sheets, you can have update rows, create sheet. It's not limited to just small tasks. It could be things. It could say create a video using some Google model, right? Create an image using some Google thing, right? There's a lot of tough stuff you can do. Send emails, receive emails, whatever, right? Jokes if you want, right? A lot of things which you can do, but all of these actions are very essential for a workflow, of course. Okay? Then there are something called triggers. To do an action or to start a process, there should be a trigger somewhere, right? It should be something like when I click a button, all of these things should happen. Either that, or it could be scheduled, meaning that every day, 9 in the morning, fetch all the news articles about a particular topic, put this filter and stuff, and then send a newsletter. I don't know, right? So for my own reading or for my official newsletter or something, right? Daily newsletter, something like that you could do. So it could be scheduled on a particular time. On a particular time, it just starts and it runs. Or it could be on some event. So someone comes to a website and there is a button, chat with a chat bot. Someone clicks, and then when someone clicks that, something happens in the background, the information is reached to n8n, and n8n starts the whole chat, right? That kind of thing. So there are different kinds of triggers which can be used. It can be manual, automated on some sort of an event. Um, and the trigger starts the process, there's some action which happens. And just to complete the picture, we don't need just triggers and actions because we'll also be dealing with data and information. We have to filter and stuff. We also need some sort of a filters or transformation. So we say, okay, don't take this case, okay, take only this case. Or if the user is from, let's say, management, then show them this. If the user is from is a student, then show them this, right? So you can do all of those things as well. You need these manipulations, you need flow control, right, and so on. So n8n, or in fact, any automation software will need these, right? It needs actions, it needs triggers, it needs transformations and filters. Very important stuff. But I think how to use them, we'll see. Okay. So how can a very basic workflow look? Okay, very simple one, and we'll make that now. Okay, we'll make that right after the slide, or maybe the next slide. We'll make this. Okay. So imagine there is a trigger, right? Or when you click on something, or every day at 9 a.m., or when an app is launched, or something, right? Someone clicks on something or does something, the workflow will start. Then inside the workflow, some things will happen, some action will be done, right? And the action could be anything: schedule a meeting, or send an email, or update a Google Sheet, or whatever, right? These are the kind of things you might want to do in a workflow. So there's some condition which starts the process, then some transformation, filtering, sorting, whatever is happening. And then after all of this, there is an action happening. Or it could be one action filter, another action, another filter, 10 actions, 20 actions, whoever, right? But in the most essential basic form, there's a trigger, there is some transformation, and there is some action. That's what it is, okay? What we'll do now, let's see if there's any questions. If not, plus sending me individual messages, I don't think I'll address those. So please avoid that. Um, mm, 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 mm. Writing JS using SQL, query, config. I don't know what this is. But this, Dinesh Nath, if it is something about beginning to use n8n, just select something and go ahead, okay? All right. This is also done, right? There is no questions which need immediate attention. There is a couple of raised hands. Can you go? Yeah, please go ahead. Or maybe I don't know if you can unmute yourself, but let's see. I can try to unmute you. Yeah. Please go ahead. Muted himself. If you have a question, please go ahead. Who has a question? Hi. Hi has a question. No. Or maybe raised by
Yeah,
accident.
my chat is disabled actually, so I'm not able to chat my questions out to everyone. I
All
don't know
right.
how it.
Okay. So do you have a question, or you just wanted to let me
That's
know?
what I mean. I'm not able to chat. That's only the thing there. Apart from that, nothing else.
All right, it's nothing to do with n8n. Okay, then maybe I'll mute you for now because you don't have a question. But yeah, good to know. All right, there's another raised hand. Let's see. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a question regarding this workflow. So you see, I have a existing workflow on the BPM. So is it possible to migrate it to n8n?
If you have it, what other tool are you having the workflow on?
Like Flowable, Camunda kind of, server.
Camunda.
Yes.
I wouldn't know about migration, but I think people would have made some things which help you migrate from one tool to the other. So check out the community, uh, documentation and stuff. Maybe there is something. I wouldn't know honestly.
Okay.
But
Thanks.
and the questions people you have, you're not able to ask on Q&A section? If yes,
So
please do ask on the Q&A.
yeah, you can ask to the host. That option is enabled for everyone.
Hmm. All right. Okay. All right. Cool. Let me then continue. Okay. So yeah, this is essentially in a workflow. right? You will have a trigger to start it. You will have some steps in the most basic form. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and build our first workflow in n8n, right? But it will be a very simple one, and I will guide you through it. Okay. There's a question. When building workflows on local, do I need to deploy directly? Is there a way they get saved in this cloud? You have to, Marinos, I'll come to this. You can deploy in the local version, but you have to keep your system on continuously for it to be meaningfully live. Okay, we'll see. I'll talk about this depending on what you're trying to do. Okay. Okay. All right. Then there is another raised hand by Usman. Yes, go ahead, Usman.
First of all, I hope you are doing great. So my question is kind of personal. It's been a year I'm doing Python. So how can I relate myself to n8n and these kind of tools?
Perfect. All right. So let's come back to this question at the end of it because
Okay,
I
no
think
problem.
there are other questions like this as well. These are not right now. We're answering very specific things about the installation and the elements of n8n. Okay. Let's come back to that later. Right. So all of you, right? Please just guidance is unless the question is like very specific for which needs to be answered right now. Please ask it in the chat, right? So that everyone can benefit. Okay. All right. Let me then go ahead. Right. So let's now go into n8n, right? And here's your blank canvas. This is where you will do your art, and this is where you'll make your workflows, right? So we need a first step. So all of you with me, right? We need a first step. So add first step. And when you click on it automatically, you'll see on the right, you'll see this thing come up. What triggers this workflow? So it asks, okay, a trigger is a step that starts your workflow. Simple as that, right? So you can have a manual trigger. So you can say, click on this and then it will do something, right? Or it runs on a schedule or a webhook call or something or a chat message or there's many ways, okay? But there's a lot of ways you can start a workflow. And in this case, we are okay with a manual trigger. So let's trigger something manually for now. And then perhaps later we'll see other ways, okay? So click on trigger manually. And when you click on this, you see there is this small thing come up, which is when click execute workflow, right? So when you click execute workflow, the workflow will be executed. So this is essentially the start button for this process, right? So add this again. So again, just to repeat this, you click on add first step and you say trigger manual. You can click on it, you can drag it, whatever, but you can click on it as well. It will be added to the workflow. This is effectively the start button. Now, what do we want to do? What do we want to do now? Let's take a simple one where, there's a reason I'm doing this, but let's take a very simple case where when you click the button, the system will fetch something from the internet, okay, from an API. Okay, and this is very useful. I'll tell you why in a moment. Okay, you'll see why. So what we'll do is we will use the Zen Codes API. Okay, so there is this. You can see my screen, I imagine. So of course, you folks might be knowing about Zen Codes, zencodes.io. Zen Codes is this place with inspirational quotes, right? And they have given us, thankfully, a free API. So anyone can just use the API and get some quotes. They also have documentation about what are the kind of things you have available in the API and so on. What kind of things you can do? You can say request quotes from a specific author, like someone, I don't know, Shakespeare or something. List of available authors, API structure, daily inspiration quote, right? Anything. So there's a lot of things you can do. There's also information available here. Okay, so there is this API. You can take a look, and we will use the free version of this API to just fetch a random quote. Okay, what this API does really is, I will put this in chat for all of you. Message everyone. Okay, so if you open this in the browser, you'll get a result like this. Okay, there's a JSON, there is raw data, there is headers, but okay, let's go to the JSON part. And I think it looks a bit different in different browsers, but the content should be the same, right? There will be three things in this. Okay, there will be a queue, there will be an A, and there will be an H. 3 elements over there. Okay. Typically, these things, you need to handle via code, but we'll see in n8n you don't need any coding for this whatsoever. Okay. So anyway, there's Q, there is A, and there is H. This thing which you see on the screen is a JSON variable, right? It is a very structured kind of a say type in which everything needs to be values for a particular key. So if in Python terms, this is like a dictionary, right? But it's a very common structured thing. Most commonly used type, right, for exchanging data over the internet or systems. Okay, this is what it does. So every time you use this link, okay, random, and you see now it has changed, right? I enter this URL in the browser, you'll see I get a different Q. Q is the quote, like the only normal peoples are the ones you don't know very well or whatever. A is the author, so Alfred Adler, and then H is the HTML code, a nice formatted thing, block quote and only what the same thing, but in a formatted HTML, right? That's it. So this returns 3 things: Q, A, and H. Simple. Okay. Now, if we are to use this inside n8n, okay, and this is a very fundamental building block, right? You go to n8n. Okay, where is this? Here. Okay. Oops. Here's our flow. Right. You go here and you add. Okay. Add something, and now you'll see you already have a trigger. The trigger is sorted. Now it asks you what you want as an action, what happens next. So you can, in actions, you can have AI stuff, build agents over here. You can have a large language model over here. You can have other specific computer vision models or whatever. You can have other actions like a Google Sheets or something, do something in Telegram perhaps, right? Or WhatsApp. Or you can do something like here, there's something called core. You can run some code. You can also make an HTTP request, right? That is what we do. So when you open the browser here, we actually made an HTTP request. Okay, we asked this website Zencodes to send us some information based on what we had shared with it. So zencodes.io.api, this thing, right? This is the link. This is the URL from which we will get this. So we need to make an HTTP request, right? So click on this again, and you can just search for HTTP as well. Okay, so HTTP request, and you can click on it, and it opens up. Okay. By the way, you can click on it, it opens up. You can hit escape. You can click on back to canvas. It gets added over here. Okay, and automatically this one is connected. I mean, you can remove a connection like this. You can go and click on delete. Connection is broken, but of course you need things to be connected, data to be flowing, right? So you need to connect, and each of them or most of the things, right? Especially the actions one will have an input and an output. Right, so this is input. It doesn't really give any data, but it makes this thing work, right? And there's an output. Some output will come out of this, and that is what we will configure now, right? So this is the HTTP request node, and of course, inside this you can do another node also. You can say once you get the code, you do something else with it. Once you get the code, you send it to your friend to annoy them, 100 times a day, send them an inspirational quote, right, until they block you. Whatever. So you could do a lot, right? You don't have to end it over here. So there's nodes. The action nodes have inputs and outputs. You can have another one which takes this as this output as the input, right, and so on. And I can maybe demonstrate that as well, right, in a moment. Let's see if there's something in Q&A. Sharik asks, what JSON tool is this? No, it's not really a tool, right? I don't know which tool you're referring to. But earlier I was opening it inside Firefox, right? It's simply, that's it. It's just Firefox. It's just displaying it in a JSON format. It's smart enough. But here, this is an HTTP request. You can make a request, right, using an API. And here, in this case, it's a GET, it's fine. We don't need anything complex, okay? All we need to do is here, enter the API URL, right, that I was sharing earlier. So just zencodes.io/API/random, and that's it. That's all we need to do, right? And once you enter this, this is practically the same as going to the browser and entering this here, right? It's the same thing effectively. So instead of going to the browser and writing it here, you go to this HTTP node and do this here. Okay, so that's how you do this. Okay, and it's the same thing, but now instead of displaying it in a browser window, the result will come inside of n8n node, and you will get something in the output. Okay, so let's see. Let's just enter this here and click on execute step. Okay. Execute the step. Okay. And you'll see a quote has come up. I thought how unpleasant it is to be locked out, and I thought how worse it is to be locked in. Virginia Woolf and H. So now the three things you had earlier, QAH, are right. QAH are also available here, right? QAH. And the interesting thing is now these A, B, all of these are also available to you to use in a future block. Okay. So let me just show you this how this works anyway. Okay. So you have this workflow. You can say execute workflow. The moment you execute, click on execute this workflow, you'll see something. Okay. You'll see it is running here. So there's a flow of information happening. So this thing, you click this first, immediately it goes to this one and it runs this. Okay, so you see it also shows a running icon in a way, right? Some animation. When you open this up, you'll see that it has an output. Output changed because you run it again, right? It's a new code every time. So doing what you love and whatever, right? And this is now finally available to you. So what we have made essentially is a very simple thing, right? A very simple workflow in a way that you click on something, it goes to the internet, it fetches a random codes and gives you an output. Now, doing the same thing earlier would need you to write code, right? Code and an environment to write code and stuff. But now you can do this literally in like 1 minute or 2 minutes, right? This is really cool. So this is really giving you a lot of power. And why did I take this example, right? Why did I take an HTTP request? Or why did I take a system which on clicking, it is doing something, some interaction on the internet and giving something back, right? Because this exactly is what your large language models will be doing, okay? Whenever you're using Gemini or, I'm just taking some water, whenever you're using Gemini or anything, OpenAI or whatever, you will actually be using their API. And that's why it's important to know how this basically works. So now you start using the API of OpenAI or anyone, okay? Let me see. I have a lot of individual chats, but I don't think I'll be able to answer them. But yeah, anyway, so this is it, right? And now, so Ahmed has raised a hand. Ahmed, unless your question, if is a question about exactly what we're discussing, then please go ahead. If not, I will ask you to reserve it till the end. Yeah, okay. Ahmed, you can go ahead with your question. Okay, I think he's not able to unmute. Okay, let's give it to Nishan. Nishan, you can go ahead.
So I wanted to know how we can see the output while we click on the execute workflow, and you can see the output in your screen, but I was not able to see it. How exactly
You're not able to
what
see it.
I couldn't, like, I got the executed, but I didn't get the screen that you are seeing right now.
No, directly you won't get it. You have
Okay.
to double click on it to get it. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Thank
you have to
you.
double click it basically. Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, it doesn't give you any output. It doesn't show any output. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Nishan, okay, you can lower your hand. And Ahmed, I don't think.
Sorry, sir. My mic was muted. So my question was that, like, you just use HTTP request. So I'm curious to know, can we integrate in a real site, like and express something somewhere?
Yeah, definitely. You can now, we are at a point where you can make full applications with n8n. Yeah. So you can do that.
Like, can
You
we
can,
integrate in a real project?
yeah. Why not?
Okay.
Depending on the latency, speed requirements and stuff, right? People are using n8n to create application servers of sorts, right? Simple APIs of their own, which they give it to other people, and they can hit the API. So you can do it, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Hi, you can go ahead with the next question.
Yeah, how did you pull this HTTP request here in side of when I click escape? I'm not
You mean
getting
getting
that.
it here, right? So when you click on the plus sign, you
Right.
can just search for HTTP. Okay.
Yeah, I
And just
did.
click on it or drag and drop, whatever. It works.
Acha, I have to click on that.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So you're also done, thankfully. And then Aditya.
What if I want to filter out the data that has been filled?
Okay, that's for later. Yeah. Let's go step by step. There's directly explicitly a filter node. Okay. There is a filter node. There is a set node. There's a lot of things actually. You can do conditions. You can do routing. You can do a lot. Okay. But it's all there. People are building workflows, so it's all there. Okay. Good. Okay. So I think next is Mariam. Please go ahead. Okay.
I just want to. I'm wondering what is the difference between the local version and the version on the browser. I just downloaded the local version and if it with no fees or something like this.
Yes. Yeah. So the online version, right? Which you're using right now. Let me just. Okay, I think I got my camera was off. Okay. Yeah. The online version, which you're using right now, the cloud version, is a paid version, right? Right now we're using a trial, but it is a paid version. It gives you more capabilities. It gives you access to more nodes. It gives you also easy ways to just deploy it, make it live, right? So your system doesn't need to be active all the time for the system to work 24/7, right? So you can do that over here. So there's a few more things in the online version here, right? Whereas on the local version, things are local, meaning that your system is the server, right? If your system is down, I mean, if your laptop, let's say, is down, then everything is down, right? So it's not running. So it's running live when the system is when your machine is on. That is a basic thing. Plus, you have lesser options in terms of nodes which are available. Of course, they need to differentiate, right? One of them is expensive. You have to pay for it. They'll give you more options over there, right? But if you have a use case, right? If you have application which needs to be running 24/7, or it should be run anytime you want, right? Then you should perhaps go for a online version. Okay? But if you have something like occasionally run this, you click on something, it runs, then maybe you can use a local version also. But also things like online version, they will give you more storage and capacity and so on. Of course, the local version, it is all limited to your hardware. So you have to decide for your use case which one is the better one. Okay. All right. So let's pause the questions here, considering the time. I see a few more raised hands. We'll come to all of those. But is there any question specifically about HTTP request node that we have right now? Yeah. If not, I will ask you to ask this later. Okay. Anyone? Okay. Then let me just. Sorry about that, folks. Considering time, we have to take it in the end. Okay. Maybe 15 minutes left. Okay. Right. So number one was this. We did a very simple one, HTTP request, and we have some data. This data can be sent to any other module. And I'll just demonstrate this right now. You don't have to do it along with me. So let's say I want to, send. I mean, I want to annoy my friend or inspire my friend, depending on how you see it, right? So I want to inspire my friend with a daily email. Yeah. So I can just say inspirational quote of the day. Okay. And you'll see here on the left now, what has happened is the way this n8n thing is structured, right? This is the module at the center, which is the main thing, right? The node. On the left, you have the inputs. On the right, you have the outputs. Now, because for this module, okay, you see before this module, there is the HTTP request node, right? So you'll see that whatever is coming from the HTTP request node is available as an input to this node, right? So essentially, whatever is coming from the HTTP request, you can put it here inside this email. So for example, I can take this quote, okay, doing what you love is a cornerstone, or I can take this HTML thing, okay? I can drag and drop this here, okay? I can drag and drop this here. You'll see here json.h. There is it's h written over here, right? That's why you can say json.h, okay? If you wanted a, you can put a, whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, you can put this over here, and you can say, okay, send it to this guy, okay, who's my friend or whatever. And when you do this, when you click on execute step, it will tell you that, okay, it is, I did not sign in, okay. I don't know, maybe so I have to sign it. But anyway, you get the idea, right? You can sign in and then you can say execute the step. Okay, I have to access. So maybe it just takes a minute and you have to actually connect it to your, let's see. I have to sign in. So you can sign in now, right? You can sign in with your account if you want to, and then you can also go ahead, okay? So you have to give it a few access. Let's not do it right now. But the idea is that you can do all of this as well, okay? So what will then happen is there is a flow, okay? This just starts the workflow. This gets some data from the internet and there's QAH available. And these QAH can go into another module, okay? Where you have these things. So this way, now you can essentially chain nodes and one after the other, you can form a workflow. So you can have something like send this email and then, you can do something else also. Send this email and also put this code somewhere in my content library or something, right? So you can have steps one after the other chained in this manner and you can create workflows. It's very nice. You can stitch these things together. It works very well, okay? So you'll see this exact thing, for instance, okay, I just need to kind of just enable my Gmail account over here. I don't want to do it right now. We can do it later. But if someone has a time, you can do it. But this same thing, right? Click here, fetch, get this API responses and send an email. If doing it in code, it will take a bit of work. It's not very, it's simple, but it's not like very, very simple if it's not simple if you're a non-coder, right? For coders, this is easy. For non-coders, this is like, what is this? What is the API? What is this request package? What is this, right? There's so many things. So it's very hard for you to get over this. But over those blockages also, mental blockages as well, right? How do I make this? But if you see this, right, this is super simple, right? Click execute workflow, HTTP request, send a message, done. You just do some drag and drop and you're done, right? This is the beauty of n8n, that it is super simple to configure and you can do things like this very easy, okay? And that's the first workflow of yours, okay? I can remove this for now, but even this is a fair thing to do, right? Now, this is your first workflow. Now, the thing is, right, what I showed you so far was not really anything to do with AI or anything to do with machine learning or automation. It is simply, just getting something, right? Very basic automation. What we want to do really is go towards AI in the automation, okay? So let's try that, okay? Let's now go ahead and see how to use AI in automation. I want to give you just 1 minute or 2 minutes. I'll just tell you this, right? Expectation setting is that AI will not really do magic in automation, but it will simplify things for you, okay? So what normally happens in a workflow is that there is a trigger, something starts, then there is a step in between, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 10 or whatever, and then there's an output. That is what happens in a regular automation, okay? With AI, what will happen is trigger is still there, output is still there, other steps are still there. Maybe some steps are taken over by AI. So maybe earlier you needed 2 steps, now you need only 1 AI step. You still need the other regular step, right? So in general, the value of AI is that it simplifies things. The same thing which you needed, maybe, you needed like 10 hours to build that thing. With AI, maybe you can build it in half an hour, right? The complex workflow can become super simplified, easy to read and easy to work with if you use AI. That's really the value of AI. And just to give you an example, you don't need to understand exactly what this does, okay? But it is a very complex workflow. Yeah, it has a lot of different elements. There's a start, there's a function, and so on. A lot of things. Okay, they're trying to implement some complex logic over here. It's complex, of course. The same thing, if you use an AI node, right, or let's say some AI module somewhere, you'll see it becomes super simple, right? Form submission text classifier, this it divides into 3 branches and stuff. Okay, so the AI thing, addition of the AI thing becomes super simple to use. The workflow is readable, manageable, and so on. That's really the value of using AI stuff inside of any automation software. It doesn't say perhaps makes things more accurate as well if you have AI available to you, right? But it doesn't do a different kind of magic where you still need a trigger, still need the output, still need to design the workflow, and you need these things, right? So, but it does simplify things. Okay, so let's then see how to use LLMs. And LLMs really, I mean, I don't need to give you a lot of examples, but I can show you. LLMs are really very nice, okay? And they're really powerful because they are like a Swiss Army knife. What does that mean is that earlier, okay, when you wanted to do any NLP task, in fact, even 3 years ago, 5 years ago, perhaps, right? If you wanted to do any NLP task, it was not so easy. You know, you had custom libraries. You had to break it down into multiple tasks. Each had its own specific model. For example, if you had a bunch of text, within that text, you know, first of all, breaking it down into different sentences, identifying which is an instruction, which is then identifying whether the person is being referred to or a place or whatever, right? All of those things, you know, had separate models which you had to use. It was a bit complex. And you know, people used to think, okay, this natural language is not easy. Okay, don't come to natural language. Deep learning and all is different. Natural language processing really has linguistics. It is a very complex thing. Okay, it has specialization requirements. However, this paper changed a lot. It changed everything actually. It was about this model called T5, and what this really did is everything, okay, everything is thought of as a text completion task, like an autocomplete on your phone, right? You're writing something, what is the next letter, next word, right? Everything is thought of as a text completion task. For instance, translate English to German, that is good, right? What you do is the model is trained in such a way that it needs to get the next text, like a autocomplete, right? Kind of a thing. This is really how the model is being designed. Every single thing you want to do, you say everything will be treated like a fill in the blank. Just fill in the blank. Fill in the blank for translation, fill in the blank for sentence classification, fill in the blank for some whatever you want to do, make it like a fill in the blank. And the model, if you give it enough data, it will figure it out what to do. Okay, so you don't need 10 specialized models to do 10 different things. You need one model to do all 10 things. That was the idea. Okay? So, for example, the original text was, okay, thank you for inviting me to your party last week. What they did is they removed this for inviting and just replaced with a blank, so to say. And last week, they removed the y. I mean, they put it like a blank, right? Removed the last and made it like a variable to predict. Okay, and x for inviting y last, right? This is essentially what the model will try to predict. It's essentially a very simple thing, like a fill in the blank for everything. Okay? Now, this fill in the blank thing formulation, right? We'll share the link also if you want later, if you want to read into it. But this is so nice, it works so well that it achieved state-of-the-art results on many different tasks. For example, Google was working on so many models for translation, right? And there's so many other models also for translation, translating from one language to the other. This thing, like GPT also was an example of this, okay? It wasn't taught specifically to translate, but it did it anyway. Okay? It was so good, right? So this generalized model, all-in-one kind of a model, will do different tasks, right? And LLMs, therefore, we write it over here as a multitask learner, meaning that you can do a lot of things with one single LLM. Okay, that's really the idea of this. So one single LLM, 10 different tasks. So sentiment classification, entity extraction, summarization of tests, whatever, rewriting, everything it will do using a single model, right? That's the idea. And that's why we need to understand hands-on LLMs in n8n, okay? Let's go to n8n again. Okay. I'm very mindful that we will need another follow-up session perhaps to do a bit more advanced stuff. But okay, for now, we're good. Okay. Let's take it simple and slow. Okay, I'll remove all of this. Okay, and remove all of this. Okay. Now, of question number one. Okay, we want to use LLMs inside, but question number one, where do we get the LLM from? Like, where is the LLM? What is the API, right? And I mentioned earlier, we will use APIs to access these LLMs. So what I wanted you to do is this, okay? We will use Google's Gemini LLMs, okay? Gemini's models from here basically. And you want to go to aistudio.google.com, okay? I will put this in chat as well. Which account is this? Shift switch to okay. aistudio.google.com. Okay, I'll share this in chat. And AI Studio is the place where you can actually do a lot of things here. You can try things out. You can try the latest models of Google, and which is maybe not available in the that other version. This is more for developers really who want to write, want to make programs, right? Make programs or applications using these things. But within here, on the left bottom, you'll see you have to sign in with your Gmail account, Google account, of course, right? So on the bottom left, you'll see there is a Get API key. Okay, Get API key. You click on this. Okay, just a reminder, go to aistudio.google.com. Once you get here, you'll see this interface. On the bottom left, you see Get API key. You click on this, okay? And you can ignore the part above. You don't need that right now. Here, you won't have anything if you're first time over here. It'll be all blank. But you can go here and say create an API key on the right top. Okay, create an API key. When you create an API key, it will ask you select a project from your existing cloud projects, or you can create API key in an existing project, right? So, so in my case, I've created an API key, so you won't see this. But otherwise, you can select create API key in existing project, right? And then it will ask you to give a name to that project. Once you do that, once you give it a name, right? Please go ahead and do that. Come here, select the option which is grayed out for me, but you can do it. Create API key, click on it. It will ask you to give a name for the project. Give it some name, right? n8n or automation or test or whatever, right? Once you do that, on the screen you will see a big number, right? I mean number and letters, right? Like a string. That is your password in a way to use the API key. That is password to use a model. Okay, you'll get the password, and once you do that, you'll see the API key my API key is available here, right? I shouldn't be showing it, but it's fine. I'll remove it in a moment. Okay, but you'll see this. Okay, there is Gemini app will be opened. There will be an API key, so you can simply copy this key. Okay. This is really all you need to start using Gemini models in n8n or anywhere else. You will be on the free tier, but on the free tier itself, you can do a lot. So you don't have to worry about paying right now. Okay? So yeah, you all with me? So again, just overall, aistudio.google.com. Let me go back here. On the left, you say get API key, right? And then on the right here on top, you will be seeing create API key. You go ahead and do that. You will then, if it is the first time, you will say create API key in not an existing project. You will see something like a new project or something like that. Give it a name. Okay, no matching projects found, or you can say automation webinar or something. No matching projects found in my case, but you can create a new one, completely new one, and then give it a name, and then you'll get a key like this. You can copy this key. This key is your password to access these models, right? With me so far? Okay. All right, let's then. All right. I think we're good there, right? So let's see. Let's go ahead and continue building. This is the last thing we'll do, and using LLMs, and then the agent stuff we can do later, perhaps. Okay. Now, if you see here, I'll keep it simple now. You go here, you click on this plus sign. Okay. You don't have to add a trigger right now, but what you can do is search for basic LLM chain. Okay. what is this basic LLM chain? If you want to use models, right, LLMs, there are many ways, but this is one of the simplest ways, okay, to chat with your model. Click on basic LLM chain. What this does is very interesting, okay? In fact, I could have gone and straight away said, Gemini chat model, but let's go with the basic LLM chain. Why I'm showing this, okay? Click on this. And you'll see, you'll open this up, you can, escape or, go back to canvas, okay? What it does is this, okay? It actually doesn't have a model yet, okay? It has a chat message received thing, and it has the basic LLM chain model, okay? Now, and what does this do? This is the easiest way you can actually talk to a model, like a conversation, okay? So what does it have? There is a chat message received. This is a trigger, okay? And then there is a basic LLM chain. Inside the basic LLM chain, you need to attach a model, okay? You need to attach a model. So when you open this, you'll see here, there's an input, there's an output. Where does input come from? The input you'll see, it says a connected chat trigger node. Right. So whatever we give in this chat, it will go to this basic LLM chain. Okay. That is what's going to happen. You can click on open chat right now in the bottom. It will open this kind of a view. Okay. So this is how you can interact with this model. So there's essentially like a chat interface inside n8n, and you can say hello or whatever, right? You can send it. You send to it, but nothing happened. Why nothing happened? Because the data went to the LLM chain, fine, but there is no model here. There's nothing which can handle that input. Okay. So what you need to do essentially, I'll minimize this or hide chat. You need to add a model to it. Okay. You need to add a model to it. And you can click on the plus sign here, or you can open this up here. Okay. And here you can say, yeah, here, anyway, you can click on the model here, plus model. And now you'll see when you click on this plus sign, okay, you click on the plus sign, you'll see you have all of these models available. Okay. Anthropic, Azure, Bedrock, Cohere, DeepSeek, Chat, and so on. You can use any of these, okay, any of these models. So we will use Gemini. Why? Because we got Gemini API key. Yeah, we will use Gemini chat model. Now, once you go to Gemini chat model, you won't see a webinar key, but you can see you can create a new key, or let me just say create a new credential. Okay, this is what you have to do. You have to create a new credential. If it's the first time, create a new credential. This will open up. You can give it a name, whatever you want, right? Test, webinar test, or whatever you want, right? Up to you. Give it some name. And here the host will remain the same. Don't touch this. In the API key, you can provide the API key. Okay. So what we got earlier from the AI Studio, right? That is your API key. Okay. And once you put this here, you can say save. Okay. And you'll see it says connection tested successfully. Okay, I'll just repeat. This is a very simple thing. Okay. You go here, create new credential, give it some name on top, like delete or whatever, dummy or whatever, right? Give it some name, click outside here. Don't change this host, go to this field API key, just paste the key here, okay? And you can save. And you see it will test it. It says, okay, test connection tested successfully. So what does this do? What this does is now you can access the Gemini chat model, right? Using this API. Simple as that. This is what you will do. And you can go here and select which model of Gemini you want. Flash model, Pro model, whatever model you want. Let's stick to Flash right now because it is good enough for us. Yeah? It's pretty good actually. So now you have this connected. Okay, you have this, you have the model also. Now, essentially what should happen now is if you start the chat now, okay, maybe there's some config issue we have to still fix, but I think it's fine right now. Okay. Yeah, just hold the message. Now you open chat, okay, and now you say hello, okay, and you'll see, you saw something, right? you saw that the data is flowing, right? It goes from here, it goes to basic LLM chain. From LLM chain, it goes to the chat model, and this is how you have. Okay, so you can give it whatever. Tell me a joke. Okay. Now you can actually chat with the model. So tell me a joke. Just click here, and you see when something is executing, it shows this, right? It shows the rotating arrows over here. So why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Okay, that is funny to some extent. Anyway, so you see now you're able to talk with the model, right? This is really neat. You can do whatever you want, right? You can this becomes your chat interface really. Okay, you can say you can clear the whole execution. You can clear this thing also. You can restart a chat session also. Okay, but now you essentially have a very simple chat bot available to you, right? Which you can talk to. So, give me Python code to whatever, plot a bar chart from a data frame. Okay. And it is reaching out to the Gemini model 2.5 Flash, and then it will do its thing, right? It will take some time because I think it's going into thinking mode, and then it will give me a reply, right? Or maybe something. So, right, it did this full thing. Okay. So let me reduce this in size, but you have this. Okay. You can create a bar plot in so and so way. It gives you the code also. And you can expand this also, by the way, like this. Okay. So it looks bigger if you want it to be this way. So now you have your own chat window, and you can ask it whatever you want. Okay. Choosing the right method and stuff like that. So this is done. So this is really how simple it is to build your own chatbot. In fact, you know what? You don't have to end this over here. You know what you could do? You could put it down over here, okay? Get it down there. You can click on this, okay? You can even do things like, okay, just as an example, okay? Make this chat publicly available, okay? It will in fact create a visual interface. We can say click. I mean, you don't have to follow right now. You can follow if you want to. It will give you this kind of a URL here. Okay, click to copy this URL, and you can say right now it is inactive, meaning it's not really live. Okay, you make it active. Okay, if we show you something, you say got it or whatever, and now if you paste this URL in your browser, if you open this, you have your own chatbot. Okay. Hello, tell me a joke. Yeah. About, I don't know, data scientists. And now it will do its thing and it will give you a response. It is a bit slow today for some reason. Maybe I should take a lighter model. It's thinking too much. I should take a flashlight or a flashlight model. Why do data scientists break up with statisticians? Because whatever, right? So you see now you do have a functioning chatbot, and this link can be shared with anyone. Share it with your uncle, share it with your friends, and you now have a chatbot. It doesn't do much, right? But it is a chatbot which you made, right? And that's how simple things are in n8n, folks, right? Because you're using a cloud version. Okay, let me go back here, right? Just enter. You're using a cloud version. Okay. Here, you have said active. Saying active means that this is now deployed. This is live. You can share this link with anyone. They can interact with this, tell me another joke, whatever, right? And this just works. It is a functioning chatbot. So with essentially, it wasn't much, right? You just went there, you did a few things, you added basic LLM chain, it automatically did this. And once you were done with this, right, you have a functioning chatbot. Right? That's how amazing this n8n is. In fact, we couldn't do a lot more. In fact, there's a lot of behavior modification we could do. We can add certain prompts, right? How to make the prompt work and so on. There's a lot you can do. Formatting everything. We can do it later, perhaps in the next follow-up session, because I think you folks want these details. But anyway, I'll take a pause over here. But just to conclude this thing, right? And it doesn't have to be a simple chatbot like this. Okay. In fact, let me show you, and this could be the target for the next session, right? Let me show you something else, right? These are the automations I have. Okay. This is something I built just before session. Okay. You can see my screen, right? It has Agent Zaza. Okay, you can click on New Conversation. It says, "My name is Zaza. How can I assist you today? I can give you information from Wikipedia, the largest online encyclopedia. I can keep you updated with the latest news, and I can inspire you with a quote from Zen Quotes." Okay, and I can say, "Hey, okay, what's the latest news?" Yeah, and it gets some of these news. Here are some latest headlines. Estonia seeks NATO consultation after Russia's jet violation. Republican senator says this. These are all latest news, by the way. This is coming from today, okay? I mean, right now, not today, right now. I'm using a particular, I think this is BBC I'm using, okay? Malawi police arrest 8, whatever, son of British couple, Portugal says, right? So this is giving me news. Okay. If I want to ask something more, what is NATO, right? Explain briefly. Okay. And it is also explaining NATO to me, right? And it's not doing random thing. Okay, it is actually using something in the background. And this is a function. I can share the URL with you. I don't think you all should access it right now because my n8n will crash perhaps. But all of you could access this right now. Start a conversation and ask it of things, right? Whatever you want to do. It will work. This is a functioning system. And what does it really have? This is what it has. Okay, this is what I had built. Okay, it has a AI agent at the core. It has a chat model, Gemini. It has some memory. I have given it HTTP requests like we did earlier. I have given it access to Wikipedia. They can search and get results from Wikipedia. I have given it access to read data from external feeds. This is where it gets in news. It gets news from BBC, right? World News. This is where it gets Wikipedia, and this is where it gets the quotes. So you see, I actually have a system which does this. Okay, and now I'll say, okay, tell me about NATO. It will actually identify that, okay, I have to use Wikipedia, and it does a lot of things in the background, and then it gives me a response. So all of this, we'll see, right? If you learn the fundamentals, right, all of this, you'll see it's very easy to build. We can build it in like 15 minutes, okay? And you can share that link with people, and it'll be an actual chatbot which you have built without writing a single line of code, okay? That's what we'll do perhaps in the next session. I'll stop here, but I hope this inspires you. You get a sense of, okay, what is possible. You feel that these things are approachable to me and not too complex for me, and you feel confident to start anytime. Okay, I'll stop and I'll open up for questions.
Thank you, Rahim, for such a wonderful session and guiding us through each and every step in very much detail and making today's hands-on webinar so practical and impactful. And I would also like to thank all the participants for joining and engaging with us. So we can take few Q&As, and also I would really appreciate if you could spare 1 minute and share your feedback. It would really help us for bringing more impactful webinars in the future.
Yes, please, as Dipali said, please fill the feedback so we know, right, whether this format works for you, or other topics to also bring for you, and so on, right? So please go ahead and fill the feedback. Dipali, have you shared the form?
I'm just sharing in the chat.
Yeah,
right.
So Dipali will share the form in the chat. Please fill the feedback form. Meanwhile, others have questions. Let me first go to the Q&A, because I think there was some in the Q&A section already. And there's 20, okay? There's a lot of questions here. Let's go in order. Do you think AI can replace software developers and engineers? Yeah, man, it's a big question right now. Zeus, it's a very mixed news, honestly. And there's already research. In fact, I was sharing research a few days ago, a couple of days ago maybe, that AI is impacting freshers a lot. Freshers, quite a bit, because the work they do, it's like this. Earlier, if you needed a team of, two seniors and 3 juniors, right? Now you need a team of 1 senior and an AI software system. Things are so much faster. So it does actually affect. It's not replacing software development. That's not the right way to say it. In software development, there are certain tasks, right? It is doing those tasks. Okay. those tasks are being done by AI. That doesn't mean software developers are replaced. What it means is software developers should focus on other tasks, right? So if you are an entry level software developer, if you say, oh, all I know is how to write some lead code stuff, right? Then maybe it's not very valuable. But if you understand, okay, in the future, entry level person will not need his or her main skill is not writing basic code, right? Their skill is something else, right? Design, whatever, right? Design of the solution. Then maybe that is where you have to go. Okay, so it does not replace software developers really. It replaces certain tasks. And if all you're doing is, for instance, right, a while ago, several years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we had people who used to just do VBA development for automating some things in Excel or even PowerPoint. They're gone now, right? Because that task has been automated. They have to move to something else. Okay. So that's the idea. It's not software development being replaced, it is some tasks being automated. I hope that answers the question. Yeah. Software development still is alive. You just need to know what to focus on. Okay. Should a data scientist learn tools like n8n and to what extent? So Usman, I think you were asking this question. So earlier as well, right? I think at this point in time, right? For anyone who wants to build application, data scientist or not, you need to understand how to structurally build things. If you want to build anything, right, later, right, applications or whatever, these tools are very helpful for you to get started, build confidence, and go ahead. I think you can build systems now, right? A data scientist, for example, and it's like depends on what you're doing, how much time you have and stuff, right? One way is, okay, I go on my Google Cloud platform, I do these things, train a model over there. There's that, monitoring, logging, everything I do by my hand. That is one option. It is available in GCP. Or I could come to n8n and just, take some half an hour and maybe make something functioning, right? So even as a data scientist, right, depending on the task at hand, this is very useful. And I wouldn't say this replaces other things. You should know when to use this, when to use the other things. Okay, this is very powerful and helps you get started very easily. I think automated workflow. I think people now know this. After workshop, resources or such steps we follow. Yeah, let's come to this a bit later. There's a lot you could do. In fact, maybe we could do a follow-up workshop. That could be the next step. Yeah. Anyway, or there could be courses you can go, right? Anyway, familiar with Python, how can I leverage? So Usman, okay, I think it's not a replacement, right, Usman? You can use both as well. You can use Python in n8n. Is it possible to send workflows where we send a travel time as a trigger? It searches the hotel's website for vacant rooms. Yes, Mohammed. It's like this, not as a trigger. So you send something as a trigger, like a webhook or whatever, and then in that you will also have data, right? In which you have the travel time stuff, and you can do that. Yes, that is very common. Okay, real world example. There's many other ones. You can go to n8n site itself. In fact, I'm also using it for some of my own like day-to-day business operations, right? I'm using it for that as well, automatically already. It depends on how much automation you want, how much automation you're comfortable with, right? But yeah, there's many applications. Can I read data from website elements which requires login? No, you can't do that. If it needs login, it needs a login, right? I think this is done. Done. Can I use n8n answering questions automatically in Quora? I mean, your chatbot can answer things. You have to connect it to Quora. If Quora allows you to correct automatically, you can do that. Why not? But it depends on whether Quora allows you to do this systematically. Okay. Remove this. Thanks for them. Is there a way to upload your data from the local software to the cloud? Yeah, there are many connectors which are available. So, I mean, you can now have, take a file from your local and put it to GCP, for example, right? There's many things. There's connectors. You have to look for connectors which do that, okay? Okay, done. How to deploy this like the functional chatbot. So, Usman, you saw what we did, right? That is one way to deploy it, right? It is a functional chatbot, essentially. But I would say this is not like a production-ready system. It's not like, how big companies will do it, right? But for a small person, for a small company, individual, this might work really well. Okay. But we saw that you just go ahead and click and deploy. But for a company, there's 100 other questions you have to answer. Okay. Can you customize and use an application? Yes, you can customize a lot of things actually. Can you build a chatbot with tabular data using n8n? Yes, also possible. It's not about the n8n really. It's more about whether you're able to get tabular data into the system, right? And you can do that, yes. Where to find code of this chatbot and implement in a project. Janan, what code of this chatbot? Okay, I don't know what you meant really, but if you want an embed code for this, this should be available somewhere in n8n. Okay. So this thing, for example, just to show you, right? When you build this, one of the options I selected in the settings was, no, not here, somewhere here, yeah. There was an option. Was it a hosted chat where I make a landing page, right, like we have right now, or is it an embedded chat? So it is somewhere on a website, for example, right? It's not a page by itself, but it's somewhere in a website or in some other system, right, where you host. Again, it's plugged in or embedded over there. Okay, that is another option. Okay, so I hope that answers. You can do that. Okay. Where to learn in detail from here, Ghulam Mustafa. Ghulam Mustafa has multiple options. I mean, of course, one is, you can do our own follow-up webinar. That is one option. There's also a Coursera course. If you search for it, I mean, not actively, but there's a Coursera course also. You can see I'm an instructor over there and you can find it anyway, right? So there's many options. How is a demo chat able to print output when output node is not configured? Agarwal. Okay, so this is actually the behavior of n8n. This module, the chat module, what it does is the last node which you have, right? It will take input from the last node, or you can explicitly connect which node input you want. Okay, so it's a default behavior. You don't need to explicitly connect, but you can also explicitly connect if you want. Okay, yeah. I hope it answers the question. Okay, it just assumes the last one has the output. Okay. Hosni is another coming session. Yes, Hosni, let's hopefully we'll plan something soon. And there's also, you can check out on Coursera as well. I want more advanced workflows. Yes, Virat Kohli, of course, we will do more. Yeah. So Dipali, please take note, Code Infinity, that people who want to follow up, we need to figure something. How can we integrate n8n in an internal project? Many ways. But if you mean internal in the sense that internal to your organization, then you have to be careful how the data is being passed from your internal company data to the n8n system. Maybe the company is not okay with you sending data to n8n servers, right? So maybe you need to have a local version of n8n deployed on your company infrastructure. Then you can maybe use it safely for internal project. But otherwise, if you assuming everything is fine, everything is safe, then you can use webhooks and APIs, and you can essentially create an API in n8n. You can use webhooks and APIs to really do a lot of stuff. Okay, internal project as well. Where can we access this recording? Code Infinity, Dipali, you can please answer. Perhaps it's on YouTube. I think you'll get the link afterwards. Okay. When we have the step of filling the node for chat, don't maybe have the step of filling the node of the chatbot. I'm not sure what you mean. Filling the node of the chatbot. So it's the AI agent node Dima that we're using, and automatically it is connected to the chat input, right? What we did is we went here, we said add chat model, right? This was not there. We just did a plus and chat model came up. Or not this one, maybe this was a different workflow. Yeah, this one. Yeah, we added a chat. We added this one. Yeah, and it gave you the options for the models, and you can just search for the model and Gemini chat model. Okay, and that's it. You have to configure the access, and you're done. It's that right now you don't need any code or anything. It's as simple as just connecting. Okay. Can I use it in my projects? I want to know if it is safe to use. Yeah, anonymous. This was what I was mentioning earlier. Using in your project, right? Right now, if you're using a cloud version, this is going to n8n servers. So that's something you have to be careful of. But if you had this installed completely locally, then it would have been a different game. But also at the same time, if you're using a Gemini model, right, with your personal account, then you should not send office data to it, right? But if it's using a company account, which company access, then the data is still inside the company. Okay, so it depends how you're using it. Yeah, but potentially you can. Okay, I am already familiar. I think this is also done. Okay, how to configure guardrails? Oh yes, guardrails. So we'll come to this in a later one. But let me show you about guardrails. Okay, there's many types of guardrails. Okay, but let me show you one simple thing. Okay, if you have these models, right, any of these models, you see there are also safety settings. So for instance, in the safety settings, you can say add option, and you don't worry about this right now. There's different kinds of safety options. You can say harmful category. So there's someone talking about suicide or whatever, right? It should not be taken, right? Harassment speech, it should block it. Sexually explicit content should block it, right? And so there are some of these guardrails already inside, but there could be other kinds of guardrails, like about personally identifiable sensitive data, for example, or many different kinds of guardrails, right? Not leaking information and so on. So there's a lot of different kind of options, but some of them are very direct like this. Some of them you have to specify using behaviors and other configs, okay, in the model as well as in the output. And you have to sometimes you have to do checks also. Okay, did it work or not? So there are many ways, and maybe it needs a different discussion. Okay, what we fill in the trigger message, then we fill in the basic LLM. So in this chat, right, the input to the LLM comes from the chat, right? That's why it is. If you don't have a chat, like we had earlier, right? If you don't have a chat, you can also have a manual trigger. Okay, manual trigger, and the LLM will still work, but of course you have to give the input separately. Okay, so I have these answers. How to replicate same workflow on local host. Okay, I'll give you one small tip. Okay, for everyone here. Okay, this one of the best things about n8n, right? You can download, okay, a particular workflow, and you'll see it becomes a JSON file, JSON. Okay, that JSON file you can import in n8n, and the workflow is ready. That's how amazing it is. Okay? So, in fact, you can go to Claude or OpenAI, ask it to create a simple workflow for you in an n8n workflow. It will give you a JSON. You can paste that JSON directly in n8n, right? If you're super lazy as well. So you can download this JSON, you can import the JSON again, and you're done. Okay, that's how amazing it is. So that's how you can take this JSON right now, import it in your local n8n as well. Okay. There's a lot of stock questions. I don't think we'll be able to address all of them. So let's, I'll pick some of the questions. Can we add our own model using RAG? You can use RAG. Yes, you can create RAG. You have to have vector database and stuff. Yes, yeah, you can do that. There's an important question by Kazi. No, sorry, I think I deleted it by accident. But there was an important question about: is this a workflow or is this an automation at this point? Okay, at this point, it's a simple chatbot. Okay, it's not really a big workflow. I mean, you could. So if I go this, you could. It's a definition thing. How you define it. This system you see on the screen right now. Someone asks a question, you break it down, you trigger an LLM. You access memory, you do this. This can be considered like not even a workflow, but it's like a system, right, which is interacting with the people. But this is an agent, specifically an agent which handles this automatically. Okay, but what we're doing here, right, this is not an agent. This is essentially a simple system which interacts with a large language model. Okay, so yeah, that just to be careful. Okay, that you don't get confused. This is not an agent, right? Okay, so that's about. Let me just see how many more questions. So, by the way, if you folks have more questions, right, you can please feel free to get in touch with me on LinkedIn also, right? I do respond to questions, and people reach out to me and guidance and so on. So you can find me on LinkedIn, right? You can scan this QR or search for my name. It should be fine. Okay, find me on LinkedIn as well, and you will hopefully get the questions answered. Yeah. There's a feedback form. Please also fill the feedback form. The LinkedIn profile also has been shared in chat, so please you can also go there and get me. Okay, now let me see if there's a few. I have 10 more minutes. I'll take more questions. Can I make invoices for my client like in a quick manner through n8n? Usman, possibly yes, you can. It's a different kind of a workflow. Okay. How to access recording? This will be shared later. Can we add our own model? Yes. How we deploy, Kazi? I think deployment here, in this case, deployment was very simple on the online version. Deployment was simply, just go and make it active. Okay. If you make it active, it is deployed. And depending on trigger condition and everything, it will work. Okay. But yeah, we can do a further discussion later, which is a bit more detailed. Wow, Kazi was desperate with this question, huh? Like 5, 6 times. Okay. All right. Please accept my. I will accept it later. Yeah. All right. May you open again the configuration for the chat message and basic LLM. Yeah, this is the basic LLM. There's nothing really. There's no configuration really done. So yeah. I want to know how can I take URL, please. I'm not sure what you mean, but let me come back to this. Where to find code of this chatbot? No, I think we answered this already. Okay. What is real world scenario for automating cyber? Oh, there's many scenarios. In fact, even the n8n homepage gives you a simple scenario. Actually, you can check it out. 1 second. And if maybe some cybersecurity experts can say how um, useful this is, but they have given you some example. Okay, but you can see more. There's many actually. It's I would suggest. Okay, many people have these kind of questions. I'm someone in cybersecurity, like I'm in testing or I'm in ETL. How do I'm telling you, I'm sure there's so much people have already done. Just go and search for it. Just ask Gemini or chatbot or ChatGPT, right? Give me examples here and ask for real case studies. This is actually a very important task. These days, people don't know what to do. I mean, they know AI is useful, but they don't know exactly why, which task and so on, right? So I would say people are doing a lot of things. Please go ahead and find case studies. You will find a lot of material. Okay. Okay. And then, can I use my own chatbot with mobile and website? Yes. Can I share local chatbot with other person? Local with other person, you can, but you have it because it is hosted on your machine. They will be able to access the chatbot only when your system is live. Okay. If your system is shut down, they won't access it. How do you use in a website? I speak this. You can embed in your website, and there's many ways. We can see it later. Okay. This is also done. Can the link you can share with anyone? The link you can share with anyone. You can go to the if some of you have this enthusiasm, you can click on this chat thing, make chat publicly available, and then you have a link over here. Okay, that's something you can do. I think maybe it's a good idea. Improve your bot, and why don't you share it with the people, right, and friends of yours. Okay. So this is done. Is there certification for this workshop? You mean today's session, which we just did, Mahmood? I don't think so.
So
Maybe no,
no
right?
certification.
So Virat Kohli mentioned your LinkedIn. So Virat Kohli, it is on. This is here. You can see on the screen. The link has also been shared in chat, so you can connect with me, follow or whatever. What new technologies do you suggest to students to learn? Such a broad question. It's really hard to answer, really. But if you're talking about the student who wants to get into data science, I would say, first of all, please have your fundamentals right. There's no point of studying hi-fi things when your fundamentals are broken. In fact, many students are coming right they're showing, oh, I have a LLM project, I have an AI chatbot on my resume, but completely failing answering even basic questions, right? Why do you think we'll hire them? No, we've not hired them, right? So please make sure fundamentals are good. But yeah, in terms of new technologies, get comfortable with LLMs. You know how to use LLMs. Comfortable of trying to use them in real world situations. What are the challenges, right? That will help. It will be a big boost. I don't think people are expecting students to know a lot of LLM stuff. Okay, but if someone knows, it's a good bonus. There are some companies in smaller company organizations who are specifically looking for students with LLM experience. Students won't have that so much, but some tinkering around, making your own stuff, trying things out might help. Yeah, but yes, the fundamentals that are most important. Okay, right. I think all the questions on Q&A have been answered. There is a raised hand. I can take that last one, and perhaps we can close. Please, folks, there is fill the feedback form as well. It'll be good for us to know your thoughts and everything. Okay, so yes, please encrypt. Please go ahead if you have a question.
They have given the access to unmute. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. Like my own interest is based on the cybersecurity workflow and like the best ways to actually like create a workflow for maybe like incident response, and I'm trying to use it to like build up on my resume and try to get a job.
Okay. And what's the question again? I mean, you mentioned what you're trying to do, but specifically, is there a question?
Okay, so the question is like, what are the best cybersecurity projects that I could actually use with n8n to best qualify me to get a job?
I am afraid I'm not a cybersecurity person, so I can't tell you that. So, but I would still suggest number one, right? Find out, say, either case studies or some research on what implementations people are doing in cybersecurity using these technologies, right? Number one. But I would definitely suggest just reach out on LinkedIn, reach out to cybersecurity experts, right? And ask them, what do they think will make your profile strong? That is the best approach, honestly. I think someone like me who's not in cybersecurity will not be able to give you the right information. So please reach out to them and take guidance from those. And there are many people who are willing to help, I'm sure, right? So maybe reach out to them. Yeah, I hope that helps. I'm sorry I can't answer cybersecurity specific things. There's a question. I'll just address this a little bit briefly. Question in the chat. I'm not from CS background. Can I start over with these new tools? And how can I make use of all of these new tools to enhance my career? I'm a product manager, non-technical. Okay, so it's a very general question, and which is okay. Should I learn all the AI stuff, or can I benefit from this from my say in my current career? And I would say, see, at this point, practically all careers, all jobs, especially product manager and stuff, right? It is a technical field, right? Tech heavy field. All roles will eventually have data. I mean, they already do have data, but people are expected to have a comfort in working with AI tools. I know a friend of mine who, in a small company like an NGO, they were asking for operations manager. They were asking whether he is comfortable with AI tools or not, right? So I think these tools, or not just these tools specifically, but comfort with AI's tools, comfort with using them for productivity, getting better at your job using these tools, right, is necessary for everyone eventually. And that's the expectation. Everyone should be able to use these tools. So I would say, this is definitely valuable for everyone. Use these, and you can be more productive. That is the first way to be more effective in your career, right? And there's other ways, use career coach or brainstorming, whatever tasks you do. There's so many other ways, right? Or maybe use your expertise to develop your own product and sell it, right? So that's another way. So have your own AI startup in that area, maybe, right? So anyhow, the questions, Rajvi, and I think I have to close it. So, sorry, folks, last question. Please go ahead, Rajvi.
Okay, sir. Firstly, I want to say thank you so much, sir, Mirza, sir, and also.
Rajvi, can't hear you. The sound is from very far away. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, now it's better. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mirza, sir, and Dipali ma'am, for this wonderful section. I truly appreciate your time and the valuable insights you shared today. So that's all.
Okay. Okay. No question. Okay. Thank you so much for that acknowledgement. Thank you. Okay. Then I think if Raju is sorry, I don't think we can take more questions, but maybe just one more. Okay. Hi is next. Maybe just one more.
Yeah. How will this help the Scrum Masters to, in their real-time projects?
Oh, there already are people who are building digital Scrum Masters now, right? So I don't think they're very effective, right? And experience in any of these roles, honestly, high experience cannot be replaced. Okay, but the very low level tasks, right, of any role, they can be automated. People are using it to some extent, right? In fact, even some Indian guys recently, not recently, almost a year ago actually now, they had this very nice demonstration where they had a system. They were talking with it as a team. It was defining tasks and prioritizing and so many things. So, Yeah, maybe, just find about it. There's a lot of work on this, specifically on this, so I don't remember anything top of my mind right now, but there are many examples of this actually.
But if I take something on this, will it add any value to the Scrum Master's profile?
It should, yeah. So see, regardless of the job, right? So which tasks of in your role, right, are benefit from knowledge, right? Can let's say can use knowledge to synthesize things easily. Which tasks require fetching information from here and there, for example, right? Which tasks there is a sequence of action which is kind of standard, right? I imagine in the Scrum Master role, there are these many of these elements, right? Documentation, so on. So
Yeah.
all of these tasks, right, can be automated, and they are being automated, and you can benefit from them, right? So I definitely think there's a lot of potential for a Scrum Master to benefit from AI, and tools are being made to assist you in this role. Tools are being made to replace you in this role. They won't work, but still, for sure it is relevant.
Okay, thanks a lot. And one more final question. Now, if let's assume that can I also build here some kind of graphical reports kind of stuff?
Yes. Yes.
I can.
So yes. So you need to use. So I'll give you a small example.
Yeah.
So what is that? Yeah. So if you want to make, let's say, visuals, you can have a quick chart, right? And it's not, again, this is just a simple example, right? There's many things. I think no, but there's many things really. So not directly with. So there's a lot of stuff actually, but there are many tools which have come up. Okay, using these tools, you can build a lot more. You can have automated reports and dashboards and everything, really interactive stuff. So maybe n8n itself will not be sufficient. Maybe you'll have to have some sort of front end separately, and that front end is powered by n8n, but you can do that. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot. That's it from my end.
All right. Then let me stop here, folks. I'll stop, and then yeah, GS.
And
question.
when is your next session for advanced one?
We'll get back to you on that. And maybe, if you are in the community, in the group,
You
or
can
if you're
share
in the
the
email.
updates in the community.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one more thing, can I get a recording of this session, please? Because I
Yeah,
missed.
we'll be forwarding the recording to everyone.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
All right. And yes, if those who have pending questions, please, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can ask the questions.
Yeah. I'll get in touch with you. LinkedIn. My name is Avinash.
Okay. Hi. Okay, Avinash. Okay.
Avinash Kapoor.
All right.
Kapoor, you can remember. You will find me.
Okay, Avinash. All right. Perfect. Then I look forward to connecting you all as well on LinkedIn. Then, and yes, I hope this was useful.
It was very much useful. In fact, this is something new which I learned today. So probably I would like to explore much more on this.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Right. Then, great, everyone. That's all from my side. I'll stop sharing my screen, and over to you, Dipali, in case you want anything to say.
Yeah, thank you so much all for joining and staying with us till the end. Like, we truly appreciate your time and engagement. We look forward to see you again in our upcoming webinars. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and all the best for your learning, everyone, and see you soon, perhaps. Okay. Goodbye.